අපි ගහන පොළවල ගෙඩි වෙන අය අහුලන් ලේස්තු වෙන්නත් එපා.
Mission delegation's visit is an attempt to understand politics in the north and east by their government, says Abdullah Maharoof. Investigation launched into the incident where 3 underworld gang leaders threatened prison officials.
Good evening and welcome. This is Newsfirst Primetime News. I'm Shanjira Ampati. Now for those stories in detail. The interim report of the committee appointed to probe the demolition of a building with archaeological value in Kurunegala was handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
The report contains 5 proposals and calls for the immediate conservation of the site. It further said the building with archaeological value should be taken over by the Department of Archaeology. The committee also proposed for the Road Development Authority to amend its proposed expansion plan at the site. The committee calls for legal action to be instituted against all those responsible for the demolition and the cost for the conservation of the site to be charged from the individuals and institutions responsible for it. On Friday, the 17th of July, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa appointed a committee to investigate the demolition of a building with archaeological value in Kurunegala. The building was torn down on the 14th of July 2020 and the 5-member committee was appointed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. The committee is led by Professor Senaratthi Sanayaka, the Director General of Archaeology. Meanwhile, Attorney General Dappala Dilivera has advised the Acting Inspector General of Police to conclude the investigations into the demolition of a building with archaeological value in Kurunegala and submit the investigation documents before the 31st of July.
The Honorable Attorney General, after with Superintendent of Police Kurunegala and other senior officers of the Kurunegala Police and the Director General of Archaeology and the Director General of the National Building Research Organisation, has given comprehensive written instructions pertaining to further investigations necessary in the destruction of the Buaneka Hotel building in Kurunegala. And thereby, the Honorable Attorney General has directed the Acting IGP to move court to obtain expert opinion from DG Archaeology and DG NBRO and also to afford police protection to the destruction site in Kurunegala. He has also directed Acting IGP to surrounding CCTV camera footages in order to ascertain whether the incident has been recorded. He has also directed Acting IGP to submit the complete investigation material before 31st July.
The speech made by Minister Johnston Fernando during a political meeting protecting the Kurunegala Thushara Sanjeeva against whom allegations are being levelled for his involvement in the demolition of the King's Assembly Hall in Kurunegala has sparked a wide discourse. Today, Minister Vimal Weerawansa responded to Minister Johnston Fernando's remarks.
As long as I am the leader of the district, I will not allow anyone to harm a single hair on the mayor's body. Is over. Anyone can dream of it, but no one can achieve it. I advise the mayor to stay safe during
Johnston Fernando ඇමතිතුමා
I do not accept the speech made by Johnston Fernando. 6.9 million people of this country did not vote for President Gotabaya Rajapaksa only for people to claim they won't allow criminals to be harmed. That sort of politics belongs to the past. That is not the future of politics. That kind of pompous politics does not bode well with us. If one has not committed a wrong, no one will harm that person. Such claims are part of a defunct political ideology. Some of our politicians have not updated themselves. That is the problem here. We cannot help those who cannot comprehend the ambitions of the people who voted for President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and are still following their old ways. We cannot stop such politicians from expiring.
කල්ලිකුත්තර දේශපාලඥයන් බවට පත්වන එක වළක්වන්න බෑ.
කුරුණෑ නගරාධිපතිතුමාට පහර දෙනවා මේ දවස්වල. මම දැක්කා
They are attacking the mayor of Kurunegala. I saw how people went against Mahinda Rajapaksa when others promised them ministerial positions. The people who made various sacrifices to create the flower bud or the SLPP are being attacked. Those who betrayed us and crossed over are not contesting from our camp. They claim we are not educated and so on. I claim those sorts of people will not be allowed to harm a single hair on the mayor's body. The leader of the district cannot sit still when those from the SLPP are being attacked. I will safeguard them.
ඩෝසර් කරලා දාලා අර බුවන එක බා
People who bulldozed the King's Assembly Hall are now fooling around. Mahinda Rajapaksa says it is okay to bulldoze if the king was married to a Muslim woman. Then the entire thing should be bulldozed. Another person is making a different excuse. Johnston has threatened anyone who wishes to harm the mayor not to do so. What a threat that is. Where is the law in this country? Where is the president who stated everyone is equal in the face of the law? We want to know, is this country only safe for the mayor? What about the assembly hall that is destroyed? Is that the secure country they envisaged?
දැන් සුරක්ෂිත රටක් යෝකට
Johnston Fernando කියනවා මම ඉන්නකම් මේ නගරාධිපතිට
There are audiences which are ready to clap and cheer Johnston Fernando when he makes threats in this manner. On the other hand, the Prime Minister claims that no history book mentions this king and that he had multiple wives. One wife was a Muslim. I cannot even comprehend what is being said. They bang their chest claiming the country comes first, country second and country third. However, they have destroyed a monument which belongs to the country. They are trying to justify the destruction in front of the Sangha. Is that okay? Even King Kashyapa maintained a harem. At this rate, they might even destroy the Sigiriya rock. The 6.9 million who voted for this thoroughly deserve it.
ලක්ෂ 69ක් වූ බත්කර මීහරක්ට මේවා ඇත්තටම මේ කියන කතා හරිම වටිනවා.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාට ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ
Mahinda Rajapaksa's problem was that out of the 4 wives of the king, one was a Muslim. He was implying that the demolition of the king's assembly hall is not that much of a huge problem. Why is that? They are trying to safeguard the person who bulldozed this building.
සර් කරපු එකව බේරගන්න. අර අපි කියන්නේ නොකරන වෙදකමට කෝඳුරු තෙල් හත් පට්ටියකුයි තව ටිකකුයි කිව්වලු. මේකව අල්ලන්න නෙමෙයි. හිමින් සරේ ලිස්සලා යවන්න.
They are not trying to capture him. Instead, they are trying to let him slip away from being accused. We warn the people of this country. We urge them to worship the temple of the sacred tooth relic as soon as possible, because King Vimaladharma Surya, who built it, was married to a Catholic woman. She was initially called Kusumasana Devi, but then she converted to Dona Katrina. We also urge people to worship the temple of the sacred tooth relic, because King Sri Vikrama Rajasinghe, who constructed another part of the temple, was married to a Telugu queen. So in a month or two, we can assume that they will demolish the temple of the sacred tooth relic too, only because the character of the king wasn't good. Same applies to the Ruwanweli Saya too, because there were certain stories in the history of the queen of King Dudugamunu. She was believed to be a woman from the low caste. This is what we are talking about. These are arguments put forward by the Rajapaksas.
දැන් ඔන්න රාජපක්ෂා කරන්න ගේන තර්ක රජුරුවන්ගේ චරිත සහතිකය හොයනවා.
A group of activists from the Samangi Janabalavegya gathered at the Lipton roundabout and demanded that action should be taken against those responsible for the destruction of artifacts in Kurunegala.
You cannot cover this up by just saying these could be recovered. Those responsible should be arrested and punished. Ethanol dealers are now threatening not to harm these people who destroyed this hall to extract its treasure. Is this justice? Is this the punishment given to wrongdoers? Another protest was held in Pilimatalawa today. They have insulted King Buwanekabahu, who built our country. Arrest the mayor before the election. A public petition was signed opposing the demolition of the archaeological site in Kurunegala today. The signing of the petition was organized by the Janata Paura movement.
The mayor claimed it was demolished based on a request by the Ministry of Highways. The Ministry of Highways is overlooked by Johnston Fernando. Johnston Fernando should be arrested. Why? Because an institute which is under him has ordered for this to be destroyed. On the other hand, Johnston Fernando publicly claimed he will not let anyone harm this mayor. Johnston Fernando is interfering in this matter because he is the one who ordered for this to be demolished. The interim report has recommended the suspects be arrested, and therefore Johnston Fernando should be arrested. We will not allow it. If anyone has done something wrong, be it someone from our faction or not, even if he is related to anyone or not, we will institute legal action.
Meanwhile, yesterday, Director General of Archaeology, Professor Sinarath Dissanayake, revealed that a former minister attempted to transform an archaeological site in Sigiriya into a tourist project. Convening a media briefing, former Minister Akila Viraj Karyawasam responded to these allegations.
I challenged the Commissioner General of the Archaeological Department. He has said that he has recordings of me influencing them to construct a hotel. I challenge him to release those recordings. It was not I who decided to remove the Director General from his position. It was the State Service Commission which made the decision. We had an issue with his conduct. If I had done something, I wouldn't speak against him when there is an upcoming election. I'm speaking against him because I have acted genuinely. He is accused of engaging in corruption activities. I have also decided to file a case against the Director General. It does not matter who the government will retain, even if they are corrupt individuals. However, in this case, the people must decide for those who destroy archaeological sites during this election.
The people are eagerly awaiting to see whether the authorities turn a blind eye towards the destruction of our country's heritage, or will they enact the law and protect our national resources from destruction? Amidst all this, the people of this country are still battered by a plethora of unresolved issues. This is the story of the 12 people in 12 villages in Namaloya who do not have access to drinking water.
අපිට මේක හදලා දෙන්න කියලා අපි ඉතා බගෑපත් වෙලා සිටිනවා. ගැබිනි මාතාවන් පොඩි දරුවෝ ඉන්න ගෙවල් තියෙනවා. අනන්ත අප්‍රමාණ මේක ඉතා දුෂ්කර පළාත් තියෙනවා. ජලය ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් හැකියාව තියෙද්දිත් මේගොල්ලෝ මේ දේ කරන්නේ නැහැ.
The Water Supply and Drainage Board began a project to supply water to these villages in 2012 under the third phase of the Ampara Water Supply Project. According to villagers, the construction of this water tank was ongoing for almost 2 years. It has been 6 years since the construction was halted. Even the reinforcement wire has been decayed. The villagers asked for the pipeline system without constructing a water tank to contain water.
Now the issue at hand is they are not properly focusing on what is needed. They come and fix the pipeline in haste, but the water cannot be supplied because the construction work of the tank is not complete. It is at a dilapidated state as of now. As far as I know, 6 of these tanks have been in a dilapidated state. We passed 3 governments without completing the construction of this tank. People are suffering without water. This government who embarks on constructing highways, flyovers and cricket stadiums have not finished the construction of this tank that provides drinking water to the people.
People of these 12 villages are now fed up of seeking solutions for these issues. A private contractor had undertaken the project to lay the pipeline system. The security guards stationed at this property have left their jobs due to not being paid for a long time. All electrical equipment inside the office has been stolen. Although people living on the start of the road receive the main water supply from the water board, people living inside the village does not get any supply of water. Starting the construction of the Namaloya water tank was to provide a solution for this issue, but it was merely a mirage in front of the people of these villages. Now the Namaloya Divisional Council has taken steps to distribute water by bowsers.
While the masses have lost access to basic amenities, valuable resources of the nation are under threat of being ceded to foreign nations. Today, trade unions held a protest yet again to oppose a move to lease the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port to an Indian company. All port trade unions which converge at the premises of the Colombo port this afternoon marched towards a roundabout near the Chaitya Road while displaying banners citing their demands. Venerable L.A. Gunawangsa Thero also arrived at the location. Following the arrival of the Thero, the protesters engaged in religious observances. We did this after discussing with Minister Johnston Fernando. The gantry cranes were imported based on his advice. By today, he has presented a cabinet paper to either sell these or to auction it. We would like to know who is influencing this. There has been no answer to that till now. If they are doing this because of Indian influence, Sri Lanka is destroyed. Even the unborn generations are doomed.
මේ ලංකාවේ අනාගතය විනාශයි නූපන් දරු පරම්පරාවේ අනාගතය විනාශයි මේක මෙවුම් පට.
We pledge to rake in a profit of 50 billion rupees annually to the treasury if we are allowed to commence this operation. We began the struggle to lay down our life if need be. It does not matter who presented the cabinet paper, the Yahapalna government or Johnston Fernando. We will band together to defeat it.
පෙළගැහිලා තියෙන්නේ අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පරාජය කරනවා කියන එක මේ වාර්තාවේදී කියනවා. මේ මැතිවරණයේදී
We request the President and the Prime Minister to issue a written statement promising not to sell this as an election promise for the upcoming general election. Our behavior in the future will be decided based on that promise.
අපි ඉදිරියේදී හැසිරෙන්නේ.
Our Prime Minister claims the mayor who destroyed an archaeological site will not be harmed. We would like to state this to the Prime Minister. If you are ready to cede the East Container Terminal to foreign nations, we will not leave a single hair of your body unharmed. Do not sin selling national resources. We need a written promise claiming the East Container Terminal will not be handed over. The MCC agreement will not be signed and that the oil tank farm will not be sold to foreign powers. If not, we wish you all the best at the upcoming election. We are prepared to launch protests until we regain control of the East Container Terminal.
විරෝධතාවය ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න සූදානම්. නුවණු හර්ෂණය ගන්න ඊට පස්සේ
ගරු ගෝඨාභය
Gotabaya Rajapaksa was ascended to power to protect these, not to sell them. We chased away a government that leased the country's resources. Everyone knows who I am. I don't usually come for these things. I have an ache towards the East Container Terminal. My sincere request from the government is, do not get into our bad books. Do not carry out anything in secret. I get to know everything. Do not worsen the situation.
මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මම ඒකටත් යන්න වෙනවා. එන්නේ ඒ තත්ත්වයට අපිව පත් කරන්න එපා.
Venerable L.A. Gunawangsa Thero issued a warning as well.
අපි මේ ආණ්ඩුව හදලා
We are the ones who supported to create this government. Others should not try to reap the benefits of our hard labor. We will give the government some more time. If this is not resolved, we will take to the streets.
Sri Lanka's geopolitical location is of utmost importance to foreign powers. Many world powers, including America, China and India, are relentlessly pursuing their efforts to gain a foothold in Sri Lanka. And this has been made easier for these powers by the pathetic foreign policy followed by successive governments. A political party that aligns itself before an election with one particular nation or bloc of nations is then obliged to help that bloc if it comes into power. This is what has happened in the past. When Sri Lanka favors one nation over another, it creates an imbalance in the intricate geopolitical situation. Nations who have interests in Sri Lanka's position and feel threatened then come asking for their own pound of flesh, and this is a never-ending cycle. The situation involving the East Container Terminal is a classic example of this. Let's consider for a moment the national assets more or less ceded to China. The strategically important south terminal of the Colombo port, the Colombo port city, the Hambantota port. A majority stake in all these invaluable assets is held by China. And China's largest regional competitor is India, our neighbor. So is it a surprise that India would now want to ensure her interests are protected? While all of these nations work overtime to protect their own interests, who is looking out for Sri Lankan interests? Despite successive governments claiming our foreign policy is a non-aligned policy, the actions of every government has been diametrically opposed to this policy. When will Sri Lanka be blessed once again with foreign ministers of the caliber of Lakshman Kadragamar or ACS Hamid? Sri Lanka's strategic geopolitical position is for Sri Lanka to benefit from, and not India or China or the US or any other nation. All of these nations are welcome to invest under our conditions, not the other way around. Let's also not forget that discussions regarding SOFA and the MCC, which are currently in a state of limbo, AXA is already signed with the United States. The people remain vigilant of whether our nation's sovereignty would be compromised by signing these agreements. If those given the opportunity to lead Sri Lanka feel the need to betray our sovereignty, then they can go back to the country of their citizenship and leave Sri Lanka to manage its own business. Sri Lanka is for Sri Lankans. Let all politicians from all parties remember that unassailable fact.
Meanwhile, a meeting between an Indian High Commission delegation and politicians in the East recently has sparked controversy in the country.
After meeting the leader of the Tamil National Alliance, R. Sambandhan, the group comprising the Consul General of the Consulate General of India in Trincomalee met with a group of political party representatives. The media was not allowed to cover the meeting.
R. Sambandhan has always secretly passed information to external parties, but nothing worked out well for him. Sambandhan will never be able to unite the North and the East for as long as there are patriotic people. Let Sambandhan meet anyone he wants and have tea. I have no issue. He is old. I wish him a long life.
However, the Indian High Commission said it is commonplace for diplomats to meet and discuss with various parties in a country they are stationed in. It further added such decisions occur in other cities apart from the capital city as well.
He said that he was on a personal trip, although he was the Consul General of Jaffna. When considering the questions they asked, it was clear that it was an attempt to obtain information about the North and East to the Indian central government. What is the present situation of the TNA and the present status of the North? I have informed that people who do not have the people's mandate are also in powerful positions. What did the US ambassador do after the diplomat came via the Katunayake airport amidst the COVID-19 pandemic in the country? The diplomat entered the country while violating the laws of the country. What did the government say? They said they will do something later. There is an issue about the Indian High Commission too. Who has gone there? If they are from the Indian High Commission, how did they convene this meeting? They are the ones who have created a suitable environment for this. They have allowed other nations to move about in our sovereign land freely. We have seen how state officials have entered the country, hold discussions and interfere politically in these matters. We have to create a force within the parliament if we want a government that will question these and pay attention.
The Criminal Investigations Department has started an investigation after they received a complaint citing that officials at the Bursa prison have been threatened by 3 underworld gang leaders who are currently detained under heavy security in the prison premises.
Newspapers reported in the last few days that the underworld gang leaders by the names of Koskoda Taraka, Hikkaduwe Podilasi and Pitigala Kavuma have been making these threats to the prison officials. News First delved deep into this matter. Close to 30 gang leaders and gang members connected to drug peddling, murders and other organized crime have been detained in a special unit at the Bursa prison in Gaul. This special unit was built 6 months ago, and a large number of prisoners detained there are organized criminals who have been transferred from the Valikada prison. Notorious criminals such as Vele Sudha, Koskoda Taraka, Blue Mandal Sanka, Kanjipani Imran, Ganemulla Sanjeeva, Ami Sampath, Dematagoda Chaminda, Podilasi and Pitigala Kavuma are among these prisoners. A special team of investigators arrived at the Bursa prison to look into the constant threats made to the prison officials at 4 p.m. on the 26th of July. The team comprised members of the Special Task Force, officers of the Prison Intelligence Unit, the Commissioner of Prisons Administration, Rehabilitation and Skills Development Chandana Ekanayaka, Commissioner of Prisons Operation and Intelligence Tusita Udunuara, Assistant Commissioner of Prisons Operation and Intelligence Prasad Prematilaka and Superintendent of Prisons Siridat Dhammika. Koskoda Taraka, Hikkaduwe Podilasi and Pitigala Kavuma have been behaving in an unruly manner in their prison cells even at the time the team arrived at the prison. The team of officials had first approached Hikkaduwe Podilasi, who was detained in cell number 3. Hikkaduwe Podilasi had threatened the officials saying that he cannot be held up like this, and even though he is stuck in the prison, his network outside is very active. Thereafter, the team of officials had visited the prison cell of Koskoda Taraka and he too had threatened the prison officials. Extract from translation. We have plenty of weapons. It will be a simple task for us to find out where you live. We will kill everyone right up to the superintendent of prisons. Tell this to the Secretary of Defense as well. Even if he comes here, we will tell him that a president is in power for only 5 years. I do not care about the president. Even the police are below me. I have only spared women and children in one particular village. I have killed police officers as well. I will break the roof and escape from here if I feel like it. Ask the defense secretary to come here and talk to me. End of extract. Thereafter, the person named Kavuma also threatened the officials. Extract from translation. They tried to kill me using the STF during the 2012 Valikada riots. Now they are trying to kill me by imprisoning me here. I have filed cases against the STF in courts. End of extract. The investigative team led by the Commissioner of Prisons, Administration, Rehabilitation and Skills Development, Chandaneka Nayaka, had probed into these charges levelled by the prisoners for nearly 3 hours and informed the Commissioner of Prisons, State Intelligence Unit and other parties regarding the situation at present. According to the Department of Prisons, a report in that regard has been handed over to the Criminal Investigation Department. Following this incident, steps have been taken to increase the security of Commissioner General of Prisons Tusharu Puldeniya, Commissioner of Prisons Administration, Rehabilitation and Skills Development Chandaneka Nayaka, Commissioner of Prisons Operation and Intelligence Tusita Udunura, and Assistant Commissioner of Prisons Operation and Intelligence Prasad Prematilaka. A special security program has been in effect surrounding the Booth prison by deploying special task force officials and police officers attached to the prison. The CID has started an investigation to probe a statement made by an inmate at the prison upon a request made by Commissioner General of Prisons. The investigation will look into the threats made by inmates. The CID has recorded statements from a superintendent at the prison and several other officials. Also, the CID has taken steps to record statements from a few inmates at the prison after seeking a court order. We are hoping to conclude this investigation by next week. Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira has instructed the Director of the Criminal Investigations Department to obtain a warrant and arrest several officers attached to the Negombo prison. The officers are the interdicted Negombo Prison Superintendent Anuradha Sampayo, Chief Jailers Sarath Bandara and Nishanta Senaratna, and Second-Tier Jailer Kalinga Kaluwagala on several penal code charges. The CID had conducted an investigation and submitted a report to the Attorney General regarding the misconduct of prisons officers, including the provision of a refrigerator to an organized criminal being held at the Negombo prison.
The Attorney General instructed the CID to arrest the individuals, record statements and to produce them in court.
A group of police officers attached to the Aturugiriya police station have arrested a male and a female for peddling ice in Navagamua, Kaduwela and Aturugiriya. The arrests were made based on the information received from a suspect named Ryder who is involved in drug peddling. 125 grams of ice in possession of the male suspect and 25 grams in possession of the female suspect have been taken into police custody. 5 motorcycles were found which are suspected to have used in transporting drugs during a search operation carried out at the house they were residing in Himbutana Angoda by the police.
Trincomalee district candidate of the SLPP, Susantha Punchinilame, making a revelation, said that a plan is in motion to attack activists of the same party by bringing down thugs from various other areas. He made this revelation today following an attack on one of his supporters last night.
The attack has been carried out by a group who broke into a gym in Trincomalee last night. The party on which the attack was carried out alleged that a group of supporters of an SLPP candidate carried out the attack.
About 25 youth, including the 2 grandsons of Aryavati and the son of Bomba Kapila, Upeshan, came to our gym in 3 vehicles. I work for the campaign of Susantha Punchinilame because my brother-in-law is involved in his political affairs. They came and asked me not to vote for people from other areas. They said they will harm me if I work for him. This one person said that he has been arrested under the charge of 3 murders. After saying that, he slapped me twice. About 5 people held me back. The rest of the people who broke into the gym attacked the others. They broke a glass in the gym as well. Then someone had called 119. They heard the police coming and they fled.
2 people who suffered injuries from the attack have been hospitalized.
A group of young supporters of the SLPP have been attacked by another group of supporters and relatives of another candidate contesting from the SLPP. They have hired thugs from Gandhara and have attacked them. This is a shameful act. I ask the President, the Acting IGP and the Secretary of Defence to let us carry out our political affairs in the district fairly and in a democratic manner.
News First inquired of the incident from the SLPP candidate Aryavati Galapatti, who is accused of being responsible for this incident. She said these two groups have clashed due to a personal issue and that she had no connection to this incident. Meanwhile, banners at 4 election campaign offices belonging to the National People's Power in Mahianganaya have been torched at midnight last night. How they were burnt was caught on CCTV cameras.
Banners at the main office and offices in Sorabora, Dambana and in 48th Mile Post has been torched. They have done this midnight last night. These people are vexed with our conduct. This is a legally registered office. We have licenses. We can see that the government is vexed now. The Rajapaksas came into power saying that they will safeguard the democracy and the law of the country. But if our efforts to hold the election democratically is being hindered like this, we will condemn this very thoroughly.
Party leaders. Political update.
We'll hear views expressed by leaders of political parties.
A rally to ensure the victory at the Maharagama seat was held this evening under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. SLPP seat organizer of Kasbeva and Ratmalana obtained his membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
අද සිට ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදු ජන පෙරමුණට අපි කොහෙ ගියත් එක වචනයක් කියනවා.
Wherever we go, we would like to give our word that we will represent the country. The government that came after their loss could not do anything for the country. They did not have time to do that since they engaged in political revenge. They were told to take down one Rajapaksha before the Independence Day ceremony. Yoshita was taken in before the independence ceremony on the 27th. That's how revenge was taken. Representatives of the Colombo district initiated to do that. One MP was the one that took a ministerial position from us. That is what's baffling about that. 2 were made ministers. Ranil Wickramasinghe, the Prime Minister, and the cabinet did not do what they were told to do by President Sirisena. The President did not do what the cabinet and the Prime Minister wanted. Who was beaten by this quarrel? The faction that suffered from this quarrel was us, the people. So you now have to think about this. A public meeting under the auspices of the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, was held in Bandarawila today.
මතක තියාගන්න අපි ජනතාවට එකක් කියලා තවත් එකක් කරන දෙබිඩි දේශපාලන අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ නැහැ.
We will not have double standards where we say something and do something entirely different. We will not be a group that steals from the central bank or misuse the resources of the country. I'd like to ask a question. People are suffering. We ask what the government's plan is. When the Prime Minister was asked about the economy, he was talking about the number of wives King Bhuvanekabahu had. It's worrying if he understands what the people ask. This is the type of corrupt politics they are engaged in.
මේක තමයි බොරුකාර වංචාකාර පාලනය.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena attended a public meeting which was held in Polonnaruwa yesterday. There is no use of the people being rich through infrastructure development if they are not humane. After the election, I will draw up a new plan for the children of Polonnaruwa to move forward in this competitive world while improving naval technology, aeronautics and so on. Some of the people who are contesting from our district have been in parliament for 10 to 14 years but have not spoken a single day at a parliamentary session. If we ask them to list down their contributions, they will be unable to do so. I can write a book on the things I have done for Polonnaruwa.
A public meeting chaired by National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake was held in Panchikavatta last evening.
How were drugs brought into the country? Drugs were covered in lead and swallowed so that they could take it out later. How was this process published on paper? The individual who swallowed drugs and entered the country was arrested. The drugs are now entering the country in containers. 250 to 350 kilograms of drugs are concealed in sacks. It is a deadly disaster. But although the drug was seized, they couldn't find out who brought it into the country. So who brought them in? The leaders of this country. We have created leaders who have destroyed our lives. Should we give them more power? Who is controlling the country? From 4 hours. Someone like Premadasa ruled the country only once. Nobody from the lower levels govern the country. So let's create a government like that. During elections, they go around distributing things. But after they come to power, they earn 7 times of what they gave away. This is politics. They are stealing the money allocated for the education of our children. They are stealing the money we have saved to build a house. They are the ones who have gifted poverty to this country. Let's save the country from them.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට දූෂකයන් වංචනිකයන් පගාකරුවන් මිනිමරුවන් ස්ත්‍රී දූෂකයන් ළමා අපචාරකරුවන් කැසිනෝ කරුවන් කුඩුකාරයන් ජාවාරම්කාරයන් යවන්න එපා.
Think before you vote.
Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva has reiterated that there is no reason to conceal information relating to COVID-19 in the country.
The fact that an election is impending does not matter when revealing the true state relating to COVID-19 in the country. We have successfully contained COVID-19. There is no need for us to conceal information. We have provided accurate details of COVID-19 infections at all times. People can hold many opinions. At times, various interpretations were made. Competent masters know everything well. From the 11th of March up to now, we have not concealed any evidence. The instance we discover a COVID-19 patient, we apprised the public through the Department of Government Information. The Army Commander made these remarks following an event held at the Defence Services Command and Staff College in Batalanda. The event was held to commemorate the centenary anniversary since the Pakistan Command and Staff College in Quetta was founded. 37 defence officers who had trained at the Command and Staff College in Quetta were awarded gold medals. A group of dignitaries, including the Secretary of Defence, retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne, and High Commissioner to Pakistan and Sri Lanka, retired Major General Muhammad Saad Khatak, joined the event.
High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagre spoke at a virtual event titled Deepening Economic Collaboration between India and Sri Lanka. The event was organized by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry in association with the Lakshman Kadirgaman Institute of International Relations and Strategic Studies.
Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ravinath Arya Singha and the President of the FICCI Dr. Sangeeta Reddy participated in the event alongside representatives from the Sri Lankan Board of Investment, Tourism Promotion Board and the Institute of Nanotechnology. In his remarks at the event, High Commissioner Gopal Bagre spoke about the dynamic and comprehensive ties between India and Sri Lanka and underlined the need to further expand the wide-ranging bilateral cooperation to effectively and expeditiously address the unprecedented challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic. He highlighted that the present situation calls for policies oriented to the future that balance the need for economic security with the efficient utilization of complementary economic strengths of the two countries. countries. Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Ravinath Aryasinghe spoke about the importance of economic recovery in the context of the overall challenge posed by COVID-19 and mentioned that both sides could draw upon past successes and the ongoing cooperation to build a way forward.
It is reported that United National Party candidate Palitha Thevara Perumal, who suffered serious injuries following a clash between two groups, is receiving treatment in hospital.
Water pipelines are being fixed in Valkandila Matukama in the Kaluthara district to resolve the water problem in the area. This is being carried out by a private company. Candidate of the United National Party Palitha Thevara Perumal came to inspect the process, citing that the private contractor is not carrying out the project in an efficient manner. Following his visit, the altercation has occurred between him and few employees of the private company. Palitha Thevara Perumal, who suffered injuries from the clash, filed a complaint at the Mathugama police station. After filing the complaint, he admitted himself at the Nagura District Hospital in Kaluthara. According to the police, the employees of the private company in question will be interrogated.
Although the Criminal Investigations Department had been informed by March 2019 about the whereabouts of National Tawheed Jamaat's or NTJ leader Zahran Hashim's brother Rilwan Hashim, Ami Mohideen and Yusuf Anwar, some of the main suspects of the bombings on the 21st of April by the State Intelligence Service or SIS, the CID has failed to arrest them until the bombing took place. This was revealed today when an official of the SIS gave evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing into the bombings on Easter Sunday. He said warrants for the arrest of Zahran, Rilwan, Mohideen and Anwar had been issued in March 2017 following a clash between the NTJ and another group named Sunnat wal Jamaat. He said that he had been instructed by senior officials of the SIS to keep an eye on the NTJ and several other organizations by 2017 as they had received information that those organizations were acting in an extremist manner. He also said that two separate officers had been appointed to investigate the activities of such groups, including that of Zahran. Quote, from those officers, information on the whereabouts of Rilwan and Mohideen was revealed. It was reported that Rilwan was visiting his wife's house in Kartankodi area at night and that Mohideen was staying in a makeshift house in Pasikoda. But no information was available on Zahran's whereabouts, unquote. He noted and said they informed the CID that if Rilwan and Mohideen were arrested and questioned, it would be able to find out where Zahran was. The witness further said that on the 7th of March 2019, a team led by Sub-Inspector of Police of the CID arrived in Pasikoda to arrest Mohideen. Officers under the SIS official had shown the house where Mohideen was staying to the officers of the CID and they had been given all the details about Rilwan. However, CID officials have not been able to arrest Rilwan or Mohideen that day. He said Mohideen had served in the army for more than 10 years and had been working as a physical instructor of the NTJ. Additional Solicitor General who led evidence asked the witness whether he had provided information to the CID about Anwar, for whom an arrest warrant had been issued in 2017. In response, he said that Anwar had run a tailoring shop in the Kartankudi area in public. Although he was in public in the Kathankudi area, the police have not taken measures to arrest him. Testifying further, he went on to say, quote, the CID was able to arrest Mohideen on the 24th of April 2019 in the Ottamawadi area. Members of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry paid special attention to the fact that the CID was unable to arrest Mohideen until the bombings, even though information on his whereabouts had been provided in March 2019. When members of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry also asked the witness if SIS officers had the ability to arrest suspects, the witness said that the normal function of the SIS was only to provide intelligence information. However, he added that after the bombings, a second attack could have been prevented by cooperating with other security forces going beyond the SIS's normal functions. Meanwhile, the Attorney Solicitor General asked him if they had been able to uncover any prior information regarding the bombings on the 21st of April. In response, he said that on the 5th of April 2019, a senior official of the SIS called and informed him that the NTJ could launch an attack. Also on the 20th of April between 8 and 9 p.m., the same officer telephoned to inform that the NTJ was getting ready to launch an attack. He added, quote, he also gave some instructions in this regard. He informed me that Zaharan and his group had brought 2 motorcycles, one of which had exploded on the 16th of April 2019. I was then instructed to find out the whereabouts of the other motorcycle, unquote. He also said that due to a statement made by Mohideen at the time of his arrest, he felt that there was some connection between Mohideen and the police sergeant Nandalal, who was among the CID team that went to arrest him. According to central bank data, Sri Lanka's 12-month treasury bill rate fell 359 basis points so far this year to its historic low of 4.86% at today's auction, amid the raft of measures to boost credit in low interest rate environment to fuel the faulted economy grappled with the coronavirus pandemic.
The government department sold 12-month bills at 4.86%, 5 basis points below last week's auction, while the 6-month bills sold at 4.69%, 6 basis points below last week, and 3-month bills were sold at 4.6%, down 5 basis points. The 3-month and 6-month treasury bill rates fell below June. National inflation were at 6.3%. Inflation, however, is historical and interest rates relate to the future. In January, 3 months sold at 7.5%, while 6-month bills were sold at 8.02% and 12-month were at 8.45%. Today, the central bank received 64.26 billion rupees worth bids in total, but sold only 35.1 billion rupees. The auction will be settled on the 27th of July.
The government of Japan has decided to provide a grant aid worth $47,019, which is approximately 8.5 million rupees, for the project for sustaining democratization through the implementation of free and fair election in Sri Lanka under its Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Projects, or GGP, with a view to conduct election monitoring and voter education for the upcoming general election.
The grant contract was signed by Kitamura Toshihiro, chargé d'affaires at interim, the Embassy of Japan, and Rohana Hettiarachchi, the Executive Director of the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, or the PAFL, today at the Ambassador's residence in Colombo. According to a release of the Japanese Embassy, this project will contribute to encouraging the people of Sri Lanka to exercise their franchise in a free and fair manner under the global pandemic of COVID-19. The release notes that Japan, as a long-standing friend, has extended its support to PAFL to convey its solidarity to Sri Lanka in its combat against COVID-19 and to support the consolidation of democracy in the country.
And with that, we wrap up today's edition of News First Primetime News. Thank you very much for watching. For the News First team, I'm Shanjira Ampati alongside Taraka Gabriel. Good night and take care.